You stop saying yes when your body says no. You stop forcing your way through exhaustion and calling it strength. You stop making promises from a fantasy version of you. And this can be uncomfortable at first because you might disappoint people. You might need to renegotiate. You might need to slow down. You might need to admit you can't do it all. But the truth is, fighting yourself often keeps you overgiving. And overgiving is not love. It's self-abandonment disguised as devotion. So as you stop fighting yourself, you might begin to set boundaries that feel unfamiliar, and you might feel guilty. That guilt doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're learning. It means your nervous system is adjusting to a new reality. You are allowed to belong to yourself, and this is where relationships start reorganizing. When you stop fighting yourself, you no longer tolerate the same level of disrespect from others or from your own inner voice. You may find that some dynamics change. Some people adjust, some don't. And that's okay, because as you become internally aligned, misalignment externally becomes harder to ignore. If you've been losing people, or outgrowing certain spaces, or feeling like you don't fit where you used to, it's because your inner allegiance is shifting. You are no longer loyal to your own diminishment. You are no longer loyal to the version of you that survives by shrinking, and that is a sacred change. Now let's speak to the deeper spiritual layer of this. And I'll keep it grounded because this is not about floating above your humanity. When you fight yourself, you fragment your energy. You split your life force into opposing directions. One part yearning, one part policing, one part feeling, one part judging, one part wanting freedom, one part fearing it. When you stop fighting yourself, your energy begins to gather. It comes back home. It's like a river that has been diverted into 100 anxious channels, finally finding its way back into one clear path. And with gathered energy comes clarity. With clarity comes choice. With choice comes power. Not the kind of power that dominates. It's the kind of power that returns you to yourself. So let's talk about how to practice this in a way that actually sticks. Because a single moment of compassion is beautiful. But what you're really doing is building a new inner pattern. Here are 3 shifts that create lasting change, and I want you to feel them, not just understand them. The first shift is this. You replace self-judgment with self-curiosity. Judgment says, "Why am I like this?" And it's not actually asking, it's condemning. Curiosity says, "What's happening in me right now?" And it wants to understand. So the next time you catch yourself spiraling, overthinking, self-criticizing, catastrophizing, try asking, "What is this protecting me from?" Or, "What is this trying to tell me?" Or, "What do I need right now?" Even if you don't know the answer, the question changes the energy. It turns you toward yourself instead of against yourself. And something in you recognizes that, because the part of you that's struggling doesn't need to be shamed. It needs to be heard. The second shift is this. You stop treating feelings as emergencies. So many people fight themselves because they treat every emotion like a threat. If sadness arises, they panic. If anger arises, they shame. If anxiety arises, they try to think it away. But feelings are not commands. They're signals. And yes, some feelings can be intense. Some can feel overwhelming. And if you're dealing with trauma or panic or deep grief, it's wise to honor professional support alongside spiritual tools. This work doesn't replace care. It complements it. Still, there's a gentle truth here. The more you fight a feeling, the more it sticks. The more you allow a feeling, the more it moves. So when emotion comes, practice saying, "This is here," not "this is wrong." This is here, and I can be with it. You might even say, "This is grief. This is fear. This is disappointment. This is longing." Naming it helps your nervous system feel less hijacked, and then soften your breath a little, just a little, not to force calm, to offer presence. because presence is what ends war. The third shift is this: you stop making your worth conditional. This one is the deepest, because fighting yourself is often rooted in a belief you inherited. I am worthy when I perform well. I am lovable when I'm easy. I am safe when I'm perfect. I belong when I don't need much. So the ceasefire becomes a practice of unconditional inner belonging. It sounds simple, and it's revolutionary. It looks like saying, I'm still worthy even when I'm tired. I'm still worthy even when I'm confused. I'm still worthy even when I don't know what comes next. I'm still worthy even when I disappoint someone. And if that feels hard to say, start smaller. Start with, I'm learning. Start with, I'm human. Start with, I'm allowed to be where I am. Let that be enough. Because the goal is not to convince your mind. The goal is to create safety in your body. Now, I want to address a very tender fear. Some people don't stop fighting themselves because they're afraid of what they'll find underneath the fight. They're afraid that if they stop pushing, they'll collapse. They're afraid they'll feel grief they've been holding back for years. They're afraid they'll realize they've been living someone else's life. They're afraid they'll feel anger toward people they love. They're afraid they'll discover needs they don't know how to meet. So if you feel resistance as you listen, if something in you says, no, I can't stop fighting, that part deserves compassion too, because it's protecting something, and you don't have to dismantle protection all at once. You can do this gently. Here is a way to begin without overwhelming yourself. Choose one small place in your day to practice peace. Just one. Maybe it's the way you speak to yourself in the mirror. Maybe it's the moment you make a mistake. Maybe it's the way you respond to tiredness at the end of the day. Pick one doorway, and each time you reach it, practice the ceasefire. Name it, locate it, speak kindly. Over time, that one doorway becomes a new pathway in your nervous system, and then you add another. This is how transformation becomes real, not in a grand declaration, but in repeated moments of coming back. Now let's talk about what you might notice as the inner war calms, because this is where life starts to change in ways you didn't anticipate. You may notice you have more energy, not because you're doing less, but because you're leaking less. You may notice your intuition becomes clearer. When the critic quiets, the inner knowing can be heard. You may notice you're less attracted to chaos. When you're no longer fighting inside, drama outside feels louder and less tolerable. You may notice you want simpler things: more rest, more truth, more depth, less performance. You may notice you begin to grieve, not in a way that breaks you, but in a way that cleanses you. Grief for the years you spent thinking you had to earn love. Grief for the parts of you you abandoned to be accepted. And grief is not failure. Grief is love meeting what was lost. So if tears come, let them be holy. Let them be human. You've been carrying this, and you don't have to carry it alone inside yourself anymore. Another thing that happens when you stop fighting yourself is your self-trust begins to return. Because self-trust is not built by being perfect. It's built by being loyal. When you stop fighting yourself, you start keeping your own promises. Not big ones, small ones. You promise to rest when you're tired, and you do. You promise to say no when you mean no, and you do. You promise to speak to yourself with kindness, and you practice. And each time you do, something in you relaxes because it realizes, oh, I can depend on me. This is what you've been craving, not a perfect life, a safe inner relationship. So let's bring this into the very moment where most people relapse into war when you mess up, because you will, you're human. So here is what to do when you catch yourself fighting yourself again. First, don't punish yourself for returning to the pattern. Returning doesn't mean you failed. It means you're practicing. Second, name it with tenderness. Oh, there I am again. Not, ugh, I'm doing it again. There is a big difference in energy there. third, choose one compassionate action. Maybe you take a breath. Maybe you put a hand on your body. Maybe you soften your face. Maybe you step away for a moment. And then speak one sentence that brings you back to alliance. You might say, I'm on my side. You might say, I'm learning. You might say, I don't need to hurt myself to grow. That sentence becomes your anchor phrase, and the more you repeat it, the more it becomes real. Your sensitivity is a gift. I want to say that here because many people fight themselves for being sensitive, for feeling deeply, for needing quiet, for needing truth. But sensitivity is not weakness. It is perception. It is your system's way of reading energy, nuance, and unspoken truths. The problem isn't your sensitivity. The problem is the way you've been trying to survive it by hardening against yourself. So as you stop fighting yourself, you may notice your sensitivity becomes less painful. Not because the world changes, but because you stop adding inner violence to the experience of feeling. And that's liberation. Now let's talk about the quiet miracle that often follows. When you stop fighting yourself, you begin to like yourself. Not in a performative way, not in a look how healed I am way, in a simple way. You notice you're kind, you notice you're resilient, you notice you've been doing your best, you notice your humor, your warmth, your depth. You notice the way your heart has stayed open even after being hurt, and you begin to feel respect for who you are, not just for what you accomplish. This is important to hear. You are not here to become acceptable. You are here to become whole. Wholeness means you stop rejecting parts of yourself. It means you stop calling your humanity a problem. It means you stop making war on the places that need love. And if you're wondering, how do I know I'm truly stopping the fight? Here are a few signs, and you can feel if any of them resonate. You start to pause before reacting. You start to feel emotions without immediately judging them. You start to speak to yourself with a softer tone, even when you're firm. You start to rest without needing to justify it. You start to make choices that honor your body. You start to tell the truth more often. You start to forgive yourself faster, not by bypassing, but by understanding. You start to feel less afraid of being alone with yourself. And yes, you start to feel more peace, not constant peace, not unrealistic peace, but a deepening sense that you are not your own enemy anymore. And that changes everything. Because imagine living your life without the inner opponent. Imagine making decisions without self-betrayal. Imagine hearing your own needs and responding with care. Imagine making mistakes and still feeling lovable. Imagine feeling sadness and not being ashamed. Imagine being tired and not calling yourself lazy. Imagine being human and not being punished for it. This is what happens when you stop fighting yourself. You become your own safe place. You become your own home. And home is not perfect. Home is where you're allowed to be real. So let's close in a way that helps you carry this into your life. Gently, practically, without pressure. In the coming days, you might begin to notice the moments when the inner war tries to restart, a tone of voice inside you, a sudden rush, a harsh label, a familiar shame. When you notice it, remember, awareness without compassion is just surveillance. So bring compassion, bring curiosity, bring breath. And if you only remember one thing from this, let it be this. You do not need to hurt yourself to become better. You do not need to punish yourself to be worthy. You do not need to fight yourself to be strong. Strength is not the ability to dominate your inner world. Strength is the willingness to befriend it. So right now, just as you are, take a gentle breath. Let your shoulders drop a fraction. Let your face soften. And place one hand somewhere on your body that feels comforting, even if it's just for a moment. And say quietly inside, I'm on my side. Say it again, slower. I'm on my side. And if something in you argues, if something in you resists, if something in you says, no, we can't, then speak to that part too. I see you. I know you're scared. and I'm still on my side. This is how peace begins, not as a concept, as a relationship. And every time you return to yourself with kindness, you are ending an old war. You are choosing a new way. You are letting your life force come back home. And when you look back on this season months from now, you may recognize it not as the time you finally became perfect, but as the time you finally became loyal to your own heart. And in that loyalty, everything quietly began to change.